on Union Cabinet approval for Uttar Purva Transformative Industrialization Scheme UNNATI 2024. The participants are Dr. Kajal, Director, Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, and Arjun Chaudhary, Anchor.
Today's a discussion on the Union Cabinet's approval of the Uttar Purva Transformative Industrialization Scheme UNNATI 2024. Dr. Kajal, just for the benefit of our listeners, could you give us the scope of what this scheme entails for the northeast of India, what its tenure is, what's the funding, and what is the basic objective of the outlay of the scheme?
The government of India has announced this Uttar Purva Transformative Industrialization Scheme 2024 for the northeastern region. And this scheme is going to immediately, it will come into force from the date of notification for a period of 10 years. And we are also giving 8 more years for meeting the committed liabilities. Under this committed liabilities, I would like to inform you that what we have done is that we want our people, those promises for the incentives that we have done for the 10 years. I mean, under those 10 years, we continue to pay for the unit comes in the later part of the scheme. They will continue to get their incentives for the next 10 years. So that's how, your committed liabilities go on. For this scheme, as we all understand, this is designed to strengthen the industrial ecosystem in the Northeast, and we would like to attract new investment. This scheme is divided into 2 parts, and we call them Part A and Part B. This whole budgetary outlay for the scheme is approximately 10,000 crores. And do you want me to elaborate more on it?
I'm sure our listeners would appreciate that. You mentioned about the 2 parts. How it is divided. I'm sure those who are listening would also like to know what are the eligibility criteria under this scheme and the institutional arrangements so that promises are honored.
First of all, this scheme is divided into 2 parts. So that part A is for the eligible new industrial units and also those who are undergoing substantial expansion. So by the substantial expansion, we mean that those who have already, they are existing in that area, but they are going to expand their existing industry. We have given the notification, the definitions are going to come up. But for the benefit of the listeners, I would like to tell them that an additional investment of a minimum of 25% of the total amount of investment already made in an existing unit in plant and machinery for the manufacturing sector or construction of building and other durable assets for the service considered as an expanding sector. So there will be like 3 units which can get benefited under this scheme. One is your new unit and the second one is your existing unit but with the substantial expansion part. And we are going to give Part A to these eligible new and expanding units. These will have 3 components. We are going to give 3 types of incentives under that. Number 1 is the capital investment incentive. Number 2 is the central interest subvention. And third is the manufacturing and services linked incentive. Now coming on to the Part B, we are going to develop an industrial ecosystem through the activities such as we are going to handhold the states by providing them with a project implementation unit. Also, the scheme will be continuously, there will be an evaluation and impact assessment, portal development and capacity building workshops, information, awareness, campaigning. All these activities will be included under Part B. That is like how the scheme is there. And for coming to this implementation regarding the governance part, we are going to have certain institutional arrangements which are envisaged under the scheme. There will be a steering committee. This will be at DPIIT with Secretary DPIIT as the chairperson. Mostly the function of the steering committee will be to monitor the smooth implementation. Any issues which are arising during execution will be taken care of. And also whenever there is any interpretational issue, coming in, they will be issuing the clarifications. We will have different ministries and the states as and NITI Aayog and other people as a part of this committee. The second committee that we have framed here is a state level committee. The chief secretary of that respective state will be the chairperson. They will have their own members of the states. One person from DPIIT will also be there. Now, the function of this committee is to monitor the overall implementation of the scheme, and they will ensure that there are proper checks and balances, there is transparency, efficiency. So all this is like, supervised at that level. Now, there will be another secretary level committee at each state. I would say the implementing body, secretary of that concerned state will be the chairperson, and they will be looking into all the recommending recommendation of registrations of the applications, also recommending the claims that are coming in for approvals and dispersals.
Dr. Kajal, whenever a scheme of this magnitude comes into a part of India, this time the northeast of India, the benefits to the public is in the form of direct and indirect employment resulting from the creation and the setting up of industry there. Could you give us a scope of the nature of industry that is likely to be set up for the benefit of those who are seeking employment in the Northeast?
Considering, that the Northeast is a heavily forested area, very pristine, beautiful environment, we are very much aware of this industrialization's, the side effects. So we have tried, and I think we have ensured, I would say rather, that. So considering that there is a pristine environment and it's a heavily forested area in the Northeast, to balance that, with the industrialization, because it's required for the growth, we have taken care of that, and we have made a list in the manufacturing sector for the negative. I mean, those industries will not be allowed to avail the benefits of this scheme. For example, cement industry, arms and ammunition, some of the units which do not comply with the environmental standards, or some units working for pan masala, plastic carry bags. So those kind of activities, we have considered as a negative list. For the service sector, we have given a positive list. So under the service sector positive list, we are promoting hotels and hospitality, tourism like homestays, adventure tourism, health tourism, MICE tourism, ecotourism. Under education, we want the vocational and digital e-learning, biotech, fintech, healthcare, the secondary and tertiary healthcare, IT, ITES, BPO, EV charging stations, tech-oriented startups like in education, healthcare, or agriculture. And also we have kept a provision by which, if we feel there is any other industry we have missed out, we can always issue a separate notification to include that.
So we have a positive list like to encourage industrial development in areas like electric vehicles, or for that matter, travel and tourism. And you have a negative list also for to ensure environment protection, public health, for instance. That's very interesting in terms of what the eligibility criteria is to ensure that there is proper industrial development in the Northeast. Could you give us an idea of the entrepreneurship required so that this can take off, that they can avail the benefits of the capital allocations in the form of loans? You mentioned about interest subvention. Where does Skill India, Startup India, and Stand Up India come in terms of cluster development?
First of all, I like to tell you about that our registrations will commence as soon as the notification comes into place. And I'm also very happy to share that our portal is also ready. And as soon as the notification takes off, the people can avail applications for registration. That's the first step. So they come in, they submit their applications, and to reduce the compliance burden, this time we have taken care that the unnecessary or some of the documents which did not make sense at the registration level but only required at the time of the approval of the claims, etc. We have cut down a number of documents and we have streamlined it. We have made it digital. We want to bring there should be more transparency and efficiency. Therefore, everything is going to be through portal. People will come and they will submit their applications, and those will be taken care of. The certificate of registration will be granted to them. Now, this is under Part A, those industrial units which are going to avail the incentives. So they will have 3 types of incentives, as I said. They will get 4 years for commencement of commercial production or operation. Once a unit takes that certificate that they have gone into commencement of their commercial production or operation, then they can file the incentives. So number 1 incentive they will come for is the capital incentive. And I would like to tell you that under that incentive, we have further divided these districts into 2 zones. One is industrially advanced zone called as Zone A. Another is Zone B, which is industrially backward. And this has been done on the basis of the SDG index, which was released by NITI Aayog. And the list is yet to be finalized, and we will do it in consultation with the states and NITI Aayog. But broadly, we wanted that, those historically, some of the districts which could not avail incentives earlier should now come forward, and they should also benefit from this growth. So we divided our incentives, and the higher incentives have been proposed in the Zone B. To answer your question, see, number 1, there will be a demand for the labor, right? As the industry comes in there will be demand for the labor. There will be demand of certain skill sets that are required at that area. So we are going to make sure that people get rightly skilled. There will be convergence that we would like to bring into. There should be a platform which we are going to create by which people who get skilled get absorbed there itself. So that's how, your Skill India program is going to help, because the kind of industry which is going to be there, we would like that the people also get skilled in the similar, demand what is created, the supply should be there. So that convergence will be happening. Similarly, in Startup India, DPIIT is leading one of the flagship programs of Startup India, and there is a lot of potential in Northeast. So we are going to converge, and it's under our own ministry. So we foresee that there should be a convergence, and there should be a matching of people looking from the Northeast side. If they're coming into startups, they should be getting the benefits of the Startup India campaigning as well. The third is, you said, Stand Up India, which is another very beautiful program for the SC, ST and women entrepreneurs. They will be mostly micro industries. In this whole program, we have given a minimum cap. For manufacturing sector, you have to invest minimum 1 CR, and for service sector, you have to invest minimum 50 lakh. But for the micro industry, we have lowered this, and we have said that the minimum investment limit shall be 50 lakhs for both manufacturing and service sector. So you see the convergence there, right? And at the same time, if supposedly one unit which is into, supposedly, like I'll give you an example of food processing, they take a capital incentive from Ministry of Food Processing. It's not that they cannot come here and they cannot claim the other incentives. They can always come back. They cannot claim one same incentive from two ministries, but they can always take other incentives like MSLI and interest subvention from our side. So that's how, we are trying to strengthen this whole ecosystem, and I think this will give a very good convergence at all levels, so that people get benefited, and there is a strengthening of industrialization.
So, what is the expected rate of return for entrepreneurs who are seeking to develop industry with the help of this scheme announced by the government, UNNATI 2024, and the consequential impact on the GDP? Do you have any such study? Do you have any such estimates already in place? Because you have committed liabilities as well in this under this scheme.
I think what we have envisaged is like almost 2,000 plus units will get benefited under this scheme in the next 10 years. And we also believe that there would be approximate 80,000 direct employment will be generated, and more than 3 lakhs people will get indirectly benefited from this whole program. At the same time, I'm not saying GDP, but I can say, given that we have linked this with the GST, so we have envisaged approximately 6,000 crore under MSLI. So I can give you a rough estimate of like 35,000 crores of GVA, that's the gross value addition that will come through this program to the northeastern area.
And could you also tell us how does the supply chain improve as a result of this development in the Northeast, this transformative industrialization? What are the key industries that you see that will add value to our supply chain network? And more importantly, how will our trade and commerce improve with Southeast Asia?
We have a lot of potential, and we can be really, seen as the manufacturing hub. India is known for services sector. So we can be seen as a Make in India and Make for the World, that campaign of under the honorable leadership of our Prime Minister. I believe that with this program, we would be seen as Northeastern region can become a marketing hub and a service sector hub for the neighboring countries. And it will attract a lot of investments, not only from the country and maybe also from the outside.
So you see a potential for exports, or are we looking at domestic consumption with this transformative industrialization in the Northeast?
Both, I would say. There is going to be a big thrust to our sectors. And of course, once you have those kind of value additions and your productivity is increased, first of all, our domestic consumption is, saturated. Definitely, this leads to increase in the exports as well.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Kajal.
Thank you so much.
You were listening to a discussion on Union Cabinet approval for Uttar Purva Transformative Industrialization Scheme, UNNATI 2024. The participants were Dr. Kajal, Director, Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, and Arjun Chaudhary, Anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289094044.